Scorpio 18, woods rich in autumn colouring. The metaphor here is the relationship between the personality and its own cycle and development and evolution on the one hand, and that same principle in nature. And we're seeing that in nature, in autumn, we have such a richness of colour that it's breathtaking. And the equivalent can be true in personality. When we move away from youth and gain some experience of life, and we make our choices, and we put up with some difficulties, and we cope with some problems, and we settle into a way of being that's mature, then the summer of our life moves eventually into the autumn of our life, figuratively speaking. And at this point we have qualities within the personality that have developed over time, and qualities that take time to develop. Some things just cannot happen quickly and cannot occur and cannot develop in young people. They're simply not possible. Such things as wisdom, patience, perseverance, endurance, forbearance, acceptance. Certain qualities come when you've tried your hardest and you've done everything you can and it's still not worked. Or worse, it worked after a huge amount of effort and was then destroyed. Or the rules of the game change all of a sudden when you've worked it out. All of these things happen in life. And it is the person who is later in their years that have actually had the opportunity to see them come and go. And that's the main thing to understand, is that whatever comes, goes. Time moves things along. This too shall pass. And that wisdom, that profoundly deep wisdom, this too shall pass. All of these successes that we glory over, all of the failures that we shed tears over, it's nothing when time has moved on a good decade or two. It's just nothing. It's just colourful experiences in our personal history. But in the moment, it's so poignant, so dramatic that we get lost in these experiences. But not when you get to a certain age. And when you get to that level of self-determination that comes along with this, you can notice that the little boat that you're steering over this vast ocean of life possibilities actually responds to your will and your intention. You can steer your boat through the troubled waters because you've learned how, and you know where you're going. Those are the two things that really we have to work on. You have to work out how it all works. You have to understand the complex formula that explains the workings of the world. And the world has many dimensions, not just the physical outreach part of it, the expression of it, not just that, but the world within, the psychological aspect of it all, and the spiritual aspect. All of these worlds are in tune with one another. They align together in the realized mature being. It takes time and effort and persistence, determined persistence, to come to a point where you've worked it out. And when you have worked it out, then you get to understand that you can determine what comes next. You can cut your life path the way you choose it to be. And this brings a sense of poise and peace. Nothing really much can happen to disturb that peace when you know how to change anything that comes up to make it suit your purposes. Now, typically, a person concentrates on one major skill. When a young person sets out on their career, they learn their profession, and they then carry on that profession, probably until they retire, and don't really develop much more. And yet, a more awakened person, somebody with more vitality, somebody with more advanced consciousness, will take their first level of mastery as the springboard for the second level. and then perhaps go sideways. And they find that mastery itself can be applied not to everything, but to everything within a certain field. So if you're pretty good at astrology, you're very likely to find tarot reasonably accessible. If you're very good at maths, you might find physics something you can do quite easily. So there's certain areas of influence where if you're good at one thing, you can be good at the things around that. So eventually, the realized being has developed mastery in a good handful of various disciplines that are probably unique to that person. So if you master one thing, very impressive. Two things, oh, okay, you're a bit special. Three things, you're starting to be very noticeable. But if you can master 4 or 5 things, and when I say master, I mean bring mastery so that you're the best. You're good enough for every purpose that skill set requires of you. And if you can do that for a handful, 4 or 5 different sets of things, then you've become the spokesperson for the collective wisdom that sum total of skills, knowledge and attitudes and experience have given you. And at that point, you're creating reality the way you choose it to be. And that reality is universal. It doesn't seem intuitively clear that it should be universal, but when you create your own reality the way you choose it to be, that is the reality that everyone in your life has, because quantum physics suggests that we can choose which of billions and billions of possibilities to have happen moment by moment. And if we're firm enough in our determination, strong enough in our faith, creative enough in our imagination, then we can choose every moment to be just the way we want it. Notwithstanding the fact that there are rumors going on about aliens and lizards and horrible people in government, notwithstanding all of those tales of fear, nevertheless, in the moment in hand, you can choose what you have happen because you've mastered life. And this makes for a very rich and rewarding series of events in your life, and a very beautiful personality having many different facets, capable of responding to everything that comes up. And this is thought to be of great importance in the Sufi tradition. In fact, it has been taught that the purpose of a Sufi is to develop a beautiful personality. Purpose of a Sufi is to develop a beautiful personality. It's a lovely idea. It takes out such a lot of dogma. And it's intuitively clear that the further you advance in life, the more easy it is just to come up with the most harmonious contribution to any scenario.